children in the hospital, they abandon them and they run away because they have this, they have that. I have a nephew who is 8 who has a mild cerebral palsy, yet to talk, but he didn't walk for 3 years. He took only pap and water for 3 years and had to wear POP for 8 months, but now he walks and the most active child and the most, as in when he smiles and he will do all the trouble, but you can't beat him because once you come to him, he gives you this smile that he won't be. I would say at some point the mom wasn't really, but I'm the only one that would. I get into the guy will go everywhere. There's nowhere we go they don't dash him money and all of that. And she started coming to terms with it. She wasn't comfortable at all, with the way I didn't even talk to her or anything, but I was just like, and she felt, okay, because he's not your son, maybe that's why you can do all of that. But with him, maybe vitiligo helped me. I don't know, maybe having vitiligo helped me or something. Yeah, so this is, like I said before, one of the most interesting stuff. So you can imagine her first, a baby coming out and them coming out that way. And this is especially for you, who always believe, like I remember some random person that said he's a pastor telling me that this is nothing. He was telling me then, this is nothing. Do you know I have white hair? And all of that, and it doesn't even bother me. I didn't understand the whatever, he just needed to say something. And I'm saying this to say that I know you will come to that, to say that every other person on the street will have a solution for you. I'll give him palm oil or rub engine. I don't know what they say, but there would always be something that they would say. So that brings me to you. Let's take it from Shina growing up and it's time to start school.
Okay. Before then, I do a lot of science. So from the very beginning, I wanted a scientific solution to this problem. So one of the things I did was search, and I discovered that there was a nervous network, like a community of people with the same problem. Somehow I reached out to a dermatologist in Miami who said, look, this is not something I can handle, but I know a professor at the University of Miami who is an expert in this field. So he referred me to the professor and he sent me a mail saying, oh, we would like to have the child here, but if you can't come, look for it. Just told us what to do. That's how we ended up at Luth. Because we couldn't go to Miami, so we decided to go to Luth, and we ended up the way we ended up. Then another part of that story is the fact that we have a lot of stories to tell around the issues. Some of them are way out of this world. I had a lot of struggles. The pregnancy that led to this child was something Pastor Bimbo was excited about. We were not ready for another child, but she took in, and it was after she had a dream, about Pastor Bimbo giving her a baby. So Pastor Bimbo was excited about this pregnancy, was looking forward to the pregnancy. Pastor Bimbo died in December, and we had the baby in January. So I remember a woman, of the church coming to our house one day to cry, oh, this is Pastor Bimbo, these are the places she got burnt during the crash and all of that. I don't believe in reincarnation, and for me, it wasn't just about this baby. I also had to struggle with the fact that there were a lot of stories,
really?
I didn't where you come from. It was very easy to say, oh, sorry, forget about that, that's not the good. But this woman was so convinced about this. And this baby would also behave weirdly sometimes. Pastor Bimbo died before she was born. I remember one day, she started talking and she was lying down on the bed like this and said, see Pastor Bimbo.
Wow.
Pastor Bimbo where? So I had to also struggle with some of those superstitions in spite of the fact that I'm a Christian,
I get to that point as well.
And it was a lot of struggle for me. There were no things I could discuss with anybody, but I got worried until finally I cleared my own mind about all those issues. Wanted a scientific solution, but then the most important thing I learned was the fact that as long as you are sure it's not malignant, there's nothing to worry about. I remember I wrote that article somewhere on Nigerian Village Square. Then the person who started the nervous network sent me a mail saying, oh, I just read your story here. but it's not totally true. That there are a lot of dangers associated with this. That another thing I had to learn to do, to ignore people. This was somebody who knew a lot about this thing telling me, no, you are not totally right to say it's not a problem. You know, but I know that there are some other cases where there is malignancy and all of that, but thank God our daughter has never had any of those problems. We still see doctors anytime there's a need to, but then it's not.
You did a biopsy?
Yes, we did back then. Then at some point she started having irritations on some of those. Someone came in from South Africa, then our pediatrician referred us and all. She just looked at it and said, no, it's not a problem. And so far, so good.
Do you have anything?
I just remembered the first day I took her to church, just like you were saying. The first day I took her to church, I had to gather a lot of courage to carry her to church. Because even by the time we're taking her to church, I didn't really have so much information about what was wrong with her. Okay, nothing is wrong with her actually. So when we go, you know, the first thing people see, once they see her, what is this?
Yeah.
Yes, and I think that, I'm not sorry to say what I want to say. I think that where we have faced the biggest stigma so far is church. Yeah, I remember the first time she started working, and that Sunday service, you know how a 1-year-old child is walking and touching everybody? So she touched this lady, and as the lady turned back during second service, the lady screamed. Yes. And then I was very defensive. If you do that, I would look you straight in the eyes. And I remember coming home and I told him, I do not care. I will beat up this lady in church. Yes, because I felt so terrible. I felt so bad. Why would you do this to my child in church during service, you know? So I told him, I said, see, I was going to beat up somebody today. The only reason I didn't beat that lady up was because of him. Yes, that was the only reason. Because she actually pushed her hand. The child was holding her.
The 1-year-old's hand.
Yes, that was when she just started walking, you know. And the lady wasn't married. And I said to her, I said, you never born and you did do this one. I will see with you born. Yes, I said that. I was very angry, you know. So when I got home, I just said to him that anybody that looks at my child anyhow, I'll confront them. Yes, my sister and I actually started doing that. So when she walking on the way, if you look at her, my sister and I will be looking at you. As you're looking at her. So even Zanita does that now. If you're staring at her, she'll be staring at you. Like, mommy, what's this one looking? So one of the things we did was, as she started growing up, we tell her that she's very special, she's very unique, and that nothing was wrong with her. I think they said that thing is 1 out of how many?
1 out of 100,000.
So we use that to always build her self-esteem that you're not an everyday person. You're not regular. And I remember one day we went to the hospital. So we had her in a reading hospital. No, we got a call. We didn't go to the hospital. We got a call and they told us that somebody came with our child.
Yeah.
We have been looking for who owns this mark in Nigeria so that we can bond together. So we got that call, he got the call, and as I came back, I remember him telling me they just called him from Life Center that somebody came with this Anita's mark. I said, please invite them to the house.
They actually thought it was our daughter. I said, where is Tonya?
Yes, they were not asking where is Tonya.
So,
and the mother of
the
child
mother said, no,
like,
this is my child. I said, no, it's not possible.
No,
this child was born
child.
here. But that child wasn't born there.
No, first consultant.
So they just went there. For
wow.
And so that was how we got
connected
to meet
with
this Sharon. She became a star because she was the child that was kidnapped from, what was the name of that school? Avicenna. So it became a very big case, you know, and...
Did they kidnap her because of the condition or?
No, not because of the house help that went away with the child. But the interesting thing is, my child's own is on the right side.
Her own is on the left.
But her own is on exactly the same shape.
Same size. And you know she has grey hair. Sharon too has that grey hair with the same polka dots.
Sharon's is not that.
Her own is smaller.
Yes.
But same size of. We're so excited to meet her family. Yes. Yeah. But I think generally, she is actually someone who doesn't Should I say she doesn't send?
Yeah, she didn't just wake up and not to send.
Exactly.
Something happened.
Yeah, we never treated her differently. Then my family, my siblings were very supportive. I think after he explained to my mom, I was just concerned that is this a terminal illness? So once they told me, immediately the doctor told me this is not a terminal illness. I said that's all I need to hear. That was because I was really afraid because I didn't know what it was. So when he explained to my mom that okay, this is not a sickness, because my mom too, she would always pray, God, why do you give me this? Why me? You know, and I'm like, so one day he said to my mom that, mommy, if not be you, who else? You know, so my mom came to the room and my mom was like, Pastor, no worry, say, this speaking girl, this man, you know. So I think he made me not to feel terrible. Because he would come and he would say, oh, Tonya, I read this, I saw this on the internet, I saw a network of people, I saw people whose cases were worse, whose own were bigger than this. Then, of course, when I go to the internet, I see some people, it covers up to half the face, and I say, oh God, okay, her own is just up to here. Then I see the ones that it covers the face totally, and I'm like, oh God. But now, I think one of the things it does to me now is like, God, you said you did try it. How you sit down to be carving people like this?
and the fact that she's very fair, you know, there's no way she can hide it. So you need to learn to live with. She's very fair, and the spots are very dark.
Yeah, very dark.
So there is no hiding it. So better to learn to live with it.
So from one thing I would add here from everything we've been talking about, patient empowerment. You don't just wait for someone out there, you know, to tell you that this is what you have to make your effort. Trusting God, yes, but you can trust God and you don't have information, you will still be swayed because there's so many people carrying the Bible, walking on the streets, who doesn't even know what is in the Bible. So if you're not informed, you won't even know who is who, to know whom you're listening to and whom not to listen to. So patient empowerment is key. And getting yourself, you know, like talking to you now, parents, guardians, aunties, uncles, because even sometimes when you have a child who doesn't even care, some aunties and uncles decide to like someone was telling me that she doesn't even like how the girl is going about it, that she doesn't know if it's because of the school. An auntie, if it's because of the school, she goes to at 15, she doesn't even care with all the things on her body. They'll be going for swimming and the way she will run out with her swimming wear and all of that. She was worried that the child is supposed to be. You understand? So this is, I mean, parents support system, parents support is not something we can look down on. Parents are human, like we are all human and all of that, but you have work to put in there and stuff. So we'll come to you now and you know, I know this is not even a story or something we can discuss just one day, but you know, to get it started, because I can imagine as the day goes by, you go out, you have to go to the grocery store. You can't just leave him at home. You want to take him. You're meeting new set of people. You know, I know. You know, when people will say my issue now is that I have to travel for school. There now, I will start learning how to, you know, cope with these people. Don't know me. They've not seen me before. And I've always asked. But you go out, even if you live in Lagos, every day you meet new people and all of that. But sometimes people think, if I'm going to another environment, what would it be like for me? So I'm bringing it back to, before we talk about school, you know, that stage and getting to school and him trying to play with other kids, you know, what was it?
Okay,
you know, like,
so
what do you think it was like for him and you know?
Okay, so let me start with the story of when he was, when I had to go back to work. Okay. So I had to put him in daycare. Okay. So I put him, so I found out, okay, what schools we found out, and then we put him in a daycare that had like older, you know, daycare and hopefully maybe we'll transition to their primary school or whatever. Okay. But we had been there for maybe weeks and we thought we told them he had a skin condition. It's non-contagious.
And I think we got a doctor's report.
We may have gotten a doctor's report. Wow. It was about 4 months old and all that. And the next thing, some weeks after, they told us we had to come and we had to withdraw him from the school. We were told to withdraw him because they said other parents were complaining that he was going to infect their children, he was making their children ill. and that they were going to, that some parents threatened to withdraw their own children. And this school said to us, we can't afford to lose other children, so we're asking you to withdraw your child. So at that time, we were very hurt, we were very, very pained. I think I cried, I'm sure I cried. Anyway, so my husband was very upset, he wanted to involve a lawyer and everything, you know. But I remember that...
You see, what was upsetting was this. In an educational institution, it's important that that institution must be able to educate. But when you are now find an educational institution that can educate,
but supports discrimination.
You understand? And supports discrimination, that for me was very upsetting. And like I said, I was going to involve a lawyer. I actually sat down and wrote a letter to them, which they never responded to. The school.
Oh, they never did.
Well, needless to say, not to. I think the school has closed down. And it was a big school.
Because it was a big school
at that time.
In Jerry, let's not mention the name.
Yeah.
I think I know the name.
So anyway, but I spoke to two of my mentors, and they said, drop it, which was why we dropped it, you know. So I think, yeah.
So that was the first experience.
Sorry, if I may ask, drop it, why?
Well, there were other discussions around, and I was happy that I dropped it. Okay. You understand? Okay. So
sometimes the question is, do you want to use your energies to pursue that? Okay. Do you get, or focus on your child, you know, and so that was the first, I would say, major case of discrimination that we faced.
So you ended up withdrawing him?
Oh, we withdrew him, and then we put him, he was in my aunt's house for a while. And all that. And then, of course, as he started school, eventually started, maybe went back to school when he was about 4 or 5. And the school was supportive in this case. We found a smaller school, we knew the owner, it was a supportive school. But then there was still the issue of, and I would say that as he grew older, even when he transitioned from that particular school to year 1, to primary 1, he struggled quite a bit. He was a happy child because one of the things we also did from very young was, I think I came to the realization that, you know what, this child, you are very lucky that this thing that is doing him is purely physical. His brain is not affected. He's not ill, like you said, you know, there's nothing wrong with him. He had a very obvious skin condition that is severe, but you know what, he's not in any danger. So you are very fortunate.
Well,
so that
he's
was
not in any danger, but psychologically.
Yes, but you know what?
No health.
No health, no physical, physiological, physical. Anyway, so there was that. So that set a tone for how we were going to bring him up. So
and I think for us also, we had a way in which we wanted to bring up our children. And because of that, what we found out was that he was, we thought, we knew the environment he was brought into, and we said, we're going to treat him like a normal child, give him all the love we'll give any child, you understand? And as a result of that, you know, I think it affected how he perceived life, how he saw so many things.
So even though he was going through, there was that discrimination, people would say, you burnt this child, how did you burn this child? So many people would say, you people, in fact, I remember, I can't remember where I was, where the person said, you are so careless. That how could you have allowed fire to burn this child, you know? And that happened not once, not twice, you know, not 3 times.
And in those times when they say these things, what do you do?
Well, sometimes you educate, sometimes you smile and move away. You know.
I think once we realized what we was, and this is to encourage parents actually, once you realize what it was, this is our child. You understand? So we're not going to let, we are